All right. Okay,
Hello.
so I kind of wanted to share a process
Mm-hmm.
that I went through this week.
Mm-hmm.
We have been talking about our the school that our kids attend, which is a hybrid school. They raised their prices.
Yes.
And so I immediately went into fear mode.
Yeah.
Because we, every year, have been called to do something different.
Yeah.
Mainly because...
Oh, with schooling.
With schooling.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You want to be a part of the show? This is our dog. Mainly because we're just assessing how each person is doing. Right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, hey, are you liking this? Are you feeling satisfied? Are you doing what you want? So we're always just assessing that. And it's taken us a while to find our flow and our rhythm. And so this school felt like, okay,
we got it.
We
Yeah,
finally
this fits.
got it. Everybody's happy. Everybody's feeling.
Yeah.
So I was excited about that. And then
Yeah.
they raised their prices. And it's like,
Oh,
God,
gosh. Yeah.
I don't want to do it again.
Yeah.
Like fatigue.
Yes.
That's what I feel like. Sometimes the journey is a lot of fatigue.
Yeah.
Where you're carving your own path. And
Yeah, it's exhausting.
it can be hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And God always has you, but it's always
Yeah.
those moments before you trust that.
Yes.
That you're like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Where you're just like, oh, and your ego kicks in and you're like, okay, how do I figure this out?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the exhausting part, actually. Once you settle in and just let God reveal the plan to you, I feel like it's less exhausting. So
Oh, totally.
anyway, I was in the ego mode.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, how are we going to figure this out?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, and it's so funny that you say that, because when it happens with me and I have the thought come in about, whatever, or the email or whatever shows up for me, and if I immediately have like a, I start going in this whole like, oh, what's going to cause this? It's going to do this. I just go in this snowball.
Right.
And I now can see that and stop myself and think, okay, I'm not supposed to be planning this right now. I'm not supposed to know the answer right now. I just have to let it go. And if it pops in again and I feel that anxiety again or the fear, whatever it is, it's like, okay, just it's there to remind me, stop. You don't need to make a decision right now. You'll know exactly when to make that decision.
You know what that reminds me of? I was
Yeah.
reading something today from Lau Russell, Dr.
yeah,
Russell. I was reading his course 1 or whatever. And one of the things that it said is, if you're feeling strong emotion about something, you can be sure it's not the Holy Spirit.
Oh my God, that totally just gave me chills.
Yeah.
Because I have been recognizing that lately, where I'm like, I always want to, we've talked about this so many times, you guys don't know this, but when I was growing up, I'd look in the mirror and practice what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Because I was afraid that I wasn't going to say the right thing. And so it's planning, it's holding on to that energy of like, this is what I have to say, this is how it's going to go. And every single time, it never worked that way.
Panned out that way.
Never. And so now I can feel that feeling now, because I feel like I'm way more in my body these days. I can feel that feeling now. And when I have that really yucky feeling, it's like, oh my gosh, stop. You're not supposed to know right now. And that makes so much sense that that's not the Holy Spirit guiding me. That is totally my ego.
Yeah.
And it's those old patterns, those old trauma patterns that's how we used to do it. It's just a habit.
Yeah.
And so having to almost break that habit where it's like, okay, this is coming up again. So do you recognize it? Do you notice it? And then it's like, after I've maybe been in it for a few minutes, it's like, oh boy, okay, stop. Nope, not supposed to make that decision right now. And when I know I'm supposed to make the decision, it'll happen. And just trusting that. Is
So good.
hard
That's why
to
you're the
do,
hare
but
and
yeah.
I'm the tortoise. Because I've done this 100 times and I still get caught in a cycle.
Yeah.
So I was in a cycle this week of, okay, I recognized the fear.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you know what? I see that as fear and I don't have to respond to the fear. It'll work out.
Yeah.
But then I started going into action mode. Like, okay, how is this going to work out?
Yeah. So you're still kind of there, but you're doing it in a different way. You're
Exactly.
like, oh, it's like the ping pong thing again.
Yeah.
The ping pong story, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
Which
Even though,
they don't know,
I know,
but
you don't
that's
know about
okay.
the ping pong story. Well,
But yes, this goes back to sometimes when I'm trying to make meaning of something, I'll pull something that was in another moment.
Yeah.
And I will make it useful for this moment.
Oh, totally.
To alleviate my fear or to just create understanding. So I have been having experiences of needing to show up better for my kids' schooling. And so then, and to be more involved, kind of, and to understand, like, okay, what is this supposed to look like? What is, and I'm still really wrestling, and I shared with you last week, and I really prayed about what schooling was going to look like. And it was actually very simple. But I couldn't hear it in the moment of fear, right? The response that I got from God, which was like, it's simple. You're reading, you're observing, you're being present with your kids, you're enjoying life. That schooling and education can be that simple, right?
Yeah, totally.
But I was in that moment going, oh, but like maybe I have to show up back in this old paradigm, back in teaching. So the solution was,
I
should
go
teach. So I did. I told you this
Yeah.
because I made an appointment with the principal to go teach.
I'm gonna make sure she doesn't pull that.
Thank you.
Then you'll go right out of your shirt.
Yeah, exactly. So our
Let me put it
microphone
under
thing.
here.
Thank
Here
you.
we go.
So I'm going to go teach.
Yeah.
I sent her an email.
Yeah.
And I ordered some books because I was like, oh, here are the classes I'm going to teach.
Yeah.
And I did have a moment of this is exciting.
Yeah. I remember we were talking about it and you were like, and I was like, yeah, do it. Let's go for it. You know?
So it felt good.
Yeah.
But then as I started to prep for the meeting, because I want to be prepared and I want to look like, hey, I'm reliable. I start trying to kind of come up with the synopsis of the classes that I'm going to teach.
Yeah.
And every time I sat down, it was like, I don't want to do this.
It feels like work.
Yeah.
Like it didn't flow.
Exactly. It felt like work.
Yeah.
Different from the work that we talk about, which is the personal work.
Yes.
It felt like,
just heavy.
all right, let's get through this. Come on. You're like the running in place, trying to get your energy.
Yep. Yes.
You're like, oh, I can do it. I can do it.
I can do this. Yeah.
Exactly.
Even though it's like the whole time you're feeling this resistance, this energetic block that's like, I'm showing you. And you're like, no, I got to do this. I'm going to do this.
No. I mean, this is the right thing, right? This is the right thing to show up for my kids, to teach them this way. This is how we teach kids, right?
Well, and I think just holding on to that plan, that initial feeling, which was, no, this is a good thing. I have that great feeling. That felt great.
Exactly.
You're holding on to that. And when you're butting up against, this isn't really what I'm supposed to be doing, you dismiss it. Nope. I'm going to fight through it. I'm going to fight through it. Exactly. And the whole time it's like, no, because you're still holding on to that
initial feeling.
Yes.
And not only that, but making a story around that initial feeling that it was for this. It was exactly because you were supposed to teach.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So here's what I was wrestling all week. So I was meeting with her yesterday. I was supposed to have a meeting with her yesterday. And I wouldn't cancel it. I had come to the decision, what am I doing? This is not teaching is not resonating with me.
Right.
But I just kept hearing like this whisper, well, don't cancel the meeting. Don't cancel the meeting. And like yesterday, the meeting was at 1. Yeah. And in the morning, I was like, oh shit, I don't have anything.
I'm not prepared.
I know. She thinks I'm coming to this meeting.
Oh, because you hadn't canceled.
No, I hadn't canceled because this voice was telling me not to cancel.
Yeah.
So like she thinks I'm coming to this meeting to say I want to teach.
Yeah.
And I don't want to teach.
Oh my gosh.
But I feel like I'm supposed to meet with her.
Yeah.
And I couldn't explain it, right? I couldn't.
Yeah.
Oh.
I wondered that.
Addie, you can no longer be a part of our conversations. I wonder how long that happened where it was just on me.
Not too long, I don't think, because I had looked before.
And it was okay. Sorry, Addie, you're going to have to go.
This is what happens and it's not kids or husbands, it's dogs.
Yeah, so, exactly. It's just life. It's the way that it works.
This is how it works. So
Yes. Sorry about that.
Anyway, so you were going to meet with her.
So yes, and I was feeling anxiety.
Yeah.
She had this expectation that I was going into this meeting.
Yeah.
I was keeping this meeting.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, kind of dealing with these like, oh, how disrespectful for her. Like, I'm being disrespectful of her
Her
time. She's
yeah.
a busy woman.
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to do? And Taylor, my daughter, was like, what are you going to tell her you don't want to teach? Because I had announced it to my family.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you guys, I'm sorry. I don't want to teach.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, you're still meeting with her? And I'm like, I think so.
I think
tell her.
so. I'm not feeling I shouldn't. I don't really know what I'm supposed to talk with her. But
so I was telling Taylor, I was like, maybe I'm just supposed to announce, say out loud what I'm really trying to create, which is I want a coaching business. I'm moving forward in more of this spiritual connection, doing a podcast with Katie.
Yeah.
Like, maybe I just need to announce that. But then again, I was feeling like, well, why does she have to be there?
Yeah, why do I need to tell her? Yeah.
Disrespectful. So anyway, wrestling with all of that, but still, that initial feeling of being excited to connect with her and email her.
Yeah.
And then the feeling of, don't cancel the meeting.
Yeah.
So I kept with those. Those were good. I listened to I don't want to teach.
Oh, good.
So I go to the meeting, kept the meeting.
You did? Oh, see, she hasn't told me this part
I know.
yet.
So this is the new information that I decided to keep for the video. I go to the meeting, and because like right beforehand, I was like, Craig, what do I say? Like, I'm going to go empty-handed.
That's so crazy.
Like,
because that's
I would have a resume, and I would have like a synopsis, and I would bring my sample books.
Right?
Exactly.
Like me.
I am so reliable. and you want me.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going with nothing. Like, and he was like, just say, you like you always do. I prayed and I meditated on it. And I was like, well, okay.
Yeah.
But he was like, and just say you don't mean to disrespect her, but you still felt the need to have the meeting.
Yeah.
So I pretty much said that. We
good.
sat down and I was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't prepare anything because I really came to the realization this isn't where my heart is.
Yeah.
And I don't want to waste your time.
Yeah.
But I really felt compelled to still meet with you,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, no, I understand. Very warm, very open. I
She's
understand.
wonderful. Yeah.
She's like, no, teaching is hard, and it takes a lot of prep work. And I said, it just felt like I was going backwards. I've done the teaching thing before.
Right.
It didn't fill my soul. And I said, and you know what? I started a business in August to coach, and I'm loving that.
Yeah.
And I'm loving the direction that I'm going, and I really need to pursue that.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, what's the business? And I was like, well, I'm doing spiritual coaching. And she was like, oh, tell me a little bit about it. And I was like,
was this what you were supposed to be with her about? Oh my gosh.
So I was like,
awesome.
well, I'm really passionate about parenting.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about empowering women to truly connect with their feminine power.
Yes.
And she was like, oh, we need to talk. And I was
my
like,
gosh.
really? She said, I know why you didn't cancel this meeting. I have been praying for someone like you to show up.
Oh my gosh. What?
I know.
That is awesome.
And I was like, oh. And she said, next year, we want to implement kind of a parent coaching program.
Oh my gosh.
And she said, we want to use Love and Logic.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm not familiar with that, but I have heard,
I
people
do
have
know,
told me
yeah.
that I parent like a Love and Logic parent. And I said, so it seems like it'd be a good fit. She's like, I think it'll be a great fit. But she said, this is exactly what we want. I mean, there are parents needing coaching.
Oh my gosh.
And we weren't sure how to move forward with it. She said, we found someone a few months ago.
Yeah.
And she said, I wasn't feeling good about it. But we kept moving forward with it. She said, finally, the lady came and said, you know what, I don't think this is a good fit.
Wow.
And she said, so that just kind of like validated how I was feeling too.
Yeah.
And she said, so to me, I
This is
totally,
like the perfect,
she was like, this is the perfect fit.
Wow.
And she said, and what's great is that you can grow your business. You'll just be a consultant.
Right.
You grow your business.
Yeah.
And you will be our consultant. We'll train you in this Love and Logic.
Yeah.
But you can also, grow your own clients if people are interested and pursuing. And I was just like,
Did that sound great?
insane. I was so excited.
Oh my gosh.
Here's the other piece.
Yeah.
Again, listening to this Lau Russell, who
Yeah.
has an amazing book, and
Yeah, I don't
like,
know. I'd never even heard of her before.
no, but
Never.
she had a
until
talk
Yeah.
back in 1957.
Yes. So she knew all about this stuff.
Yeah,
And her husband too. Yeah.
about the feminine, right?
Yeah.
The masculine and the feminine, and the
Yeah.
balance of it.
Yeah.
One of the things she said in the talk was, we need to understand that we're raising mothers and fathers.
Yes, I loved that.
I loved that too.
Oh.
And
That was so powerful.
damn if she didn't say, the principal
That's what I was
didn't
gonna bring
say
is my notes.
the same exact
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
She said, what I want you to start doing is teaching our kids how to be mothers and fathers.
Oh my gosh. She said the same thing.
Yes. And I was like,
Well, there
absolutely.
you go.
She was
I
like,
mean,
this
it was
is what
like-
we need. When they become mothers and fathers, they
Yeah.
need to have the skill set.
They do. Yeah.
And I
well,
was like,
none of us are
absolutely.
taught that. I mean, you know, you do parenting classes and this and that, but it's like, I don't know. I've never gone to a parenting class. Have you?
No.
Never. I just was
But I'm
never like,
passionate about parenting. I do a
Same.
lot of studying and reading on it.
yeah, I do not. I'm passionate about it, but I do not do that. I don't know. I think I don't know, but I've never been compelled to go to any. I've read maybe a couple of books, but it just never really resonated with me. But I don't even know where I was going with that. But
none of us really, it's
It's
never
like the-
enforced as like something important.
thank you. That's kind of, yeah. Whereas it's like, no one's really like, oh, you need to learn how to do this and this is how you do it. I mean, you hear people this and that, like, oh, this is how you do it and this and that. But it always just seems like there's always maybe an agenda with it, or this is the only way to be the best parent kind of thing. And
Yes,
it's like,
exactly.
I don't know if I resonate with that really, because there's so many different ways, but just giving us kind of like the tools. And I don't even know. I don't know what that looked like. A different way of doing it, but Love and Logic, I think from what I've heard of it, I think I follow similar too.
Right.
But and I just learned from my parents, I guess, or I don't know. It's
Well,
kind of
that's the
interesting,
thing, is
but-
we just kind of learn from what we've seen.
Yeah.
Learn from
Yeah.
what we've been told.
Yeah.
But I guess the way I view it is parenting, again, as we talked about before, is just an invitation to do your own healing.
Totally.
But none of us look at it that way.
No.
We look at it as like, okay, there's a right way to do it, and whatever I say and whatever rules I have, well, they make sense to me, so I do it. Instead of being like, wait, why do I have these rules?
Yeah.
What am I scared of?
Yeah.
What am I trying to create?
Yeah.
It's not as intentional as it could be, and not as thoughtful as it could be, or conscious as it could be.
Yeah.
And I think we just haven't been taught to think about it in that way.
Taught to do it in that way. Yeah. Or think about it in that way.
And so, I don't know, just anyway,
Yeah.
it was a
That's
crazy, but I think the
awesome.
whole process
Wow.
in and of itself was really magical for
Mm-hmm.
me, because listening to, okay, I'm excited about this, I'm not excited about this.
Right.
I don't feel called to
Yeah.
stop the meeting.
Right.
Whereas before I would be like, I'm not going to show up unprepared and
nothing
waste
to
her
show.
time.
Exactly.
And, you know what I mean? It was just kind of like honoring all the things that I felt.
Trusting
And
that God had you. Like
exactly.
you even said, like, God's got me. I know He does, but I don't know. My ego is like, no.
Yeah.
And it's like, God's like, yes.
Yeah.
Just listen, keep the meeting. You never know. And look how beautiful it was. Like,
Just insane.
That's so wonderful.
And so, again, my ego is just like, ew, I don't want to get back in that thing. You know,
And
and
now I have to learn how to do this.
Exactly. But again, I'm trying to just be like, no, the original
Yeah.
meeting
Yep.
was inspiring.
Yeah.
And I kept the meeting because I was excited. And I asked for the meeting. You know, regardless of whatever story I made
Yep.
around it,
Yeah.
God showed up,
Yep.
made whatever He wanted to happen by me being authentic, and she showed up authentically. And it's like, I can't worry about all of these things that are gonna, you know,
No.
transpire, that maybe I'm like, ooh, I don't want this,
Well,
or whatever.
and this is coming in too, because there's been a big thing about like planning, right? Like, in this moment, this feels right. It feels like the right decision. I knew I kept that appointment for whatever reason, and right now it feels right. Now, let's say in a week, you don't have that same feeling. Exactly. Are you going to hold on to that initial like, oh, I can't let her down? Because me, right. I'm such a people pleaser from my life, just being like, oh, that's how I get people's approval, et cetera, et cetera. It's such a long story. But that's it. That for me, that would pop in and just be like, oh, but you said you were going to do this. So you have to stick with your commitment, right?
Absolutely.
But maybe later on it may not work, or maybe it will. You just don't know.
Exactly.
So it's just being open to it and just
holding
allowing
loosely.
it. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Holding loosely to whatever will transpire.
Yeah.
But always, always checking in. Mm-hmm. Does this feel good?
Yeah. It's like the reading that energies, right? Like, what is this energy? Is it a good energy? Is it flowing? And where's the resistance? Is there resistance? And what is that resistance?
Yep.
And then, like you did, like you were able to move through that resistance and then still have it flow because it was still the meeting.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, I'm just completely dismissing all of it.
Yeah.
It was like there was some sort of that flow there that was like, nope, this energy feels right to keep the meeting.
Yeah.
And you did.
And I just didn't even know why.
No.
And it went against all my like people pleasing, showing up, like prepared, looking professional.
Totally.
It went against all of those things.
Because that's all ego.
Exactly.
And it's like, God's like, I don't care.
Yeah. just show up and say your words.
Yep. And no idea what would transpire. And look how beautiful it was.
Crazy.
Oh my gosh. That is so cool.
Insane.
I love that.
So anyway, listen.
Yes.
Listen to what your energy is telling you, what resonates with you.
Yeah.
And trust and move forward. You have no idea what it's going to turn out to be.
No.
But God is always speaking to you, always. He's always encouraging us.
Always.
And we
just don't see it because we're so programmed.
And we put our own stories
We always
around
put
it.
our own stories on it, and we don't see the big picture, the beautiful lesson. Because when we hold on to those old beliefs, those old systems, those old energies, we completely miss the lesson.
Yeah.
So if we can just be open and allowing it to be like, okay, this really doesn't feel right, and it's okay if it doesn't feel right, and then sitting it and being like, okay, but not all of it. I don't need to completely dismiss all of it. It's like, okay, just that part of it, and maybe just even break it down per thing, like the planning of the lessons, the ordering of the books, et cetera, et cetera. It's just like those. It's just like, okay, those didn't feel right, but there was still something about it that felt I just didn't want to let go, and let go of the sense of canceling it, canceling the meeting.
Yeah.
So there's always that other piece there.
Yeah. And you just
that
don't
was
know
what was driving you, and that was God. That was the Holy Spirit working with you.
Oh, yeah, I really believe that. Anyway, encouragement for you. I hope that you can listen and move forward and trust that things are going to work out.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. Crazy
That's
stuff.
the fun stuff, yeah.
All right. See you guys next
time.
time.
All right, bye. Did you close it?
Didn't stop.